So the good news is that recording videos on my tablet and uploading them to YouTube is really easy. The bad news is that no matter how well I light myself, I look like I'm making a low-budget horror film. We're just going to have to deal with that for now because I prefer the easy route to the well-lit route of my computer camera, which isn't really that much better. So, I saw Ghostbusters, and I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with it. There's the nostalgia factor. You know, you can't help but get excited when you see Slimer, when you hear that music or see those gadgets. But I feel like the movie had a lot going for it. The characters are hilarious. They introduce a lot of new tech, and I don't know about you, but for me, when I was a kid, the coolest part of Ghostbusters was either the ghosts or the toys. I mean, the different gadgets, whether it was just in the movie or the new toys they were coming out with, in stores. And this movie capitalizes on both of them. They change the rules of the ghosts a little bit. The designs are unique. Not everyone liked them, but I did. And they introduce all these new gadgets. This movie has an action sequence. It's a Ghostbuster film with an actual action sequence. It's one of the few things the movie does better than either of its prequels. But there's so much new introduced in this movie, so much potential with the characters and the way this particular universe works. They didn't reinvent the wheel, but they made it just different enough. So imagine my disappointment when you have all of this potential and it is wasted on a script that is a remake of the first movie. I don't mean it is a general remake. I mean, with one or two exceptions, it's a beat-by-beat retread of the first movie. With everything going for it, they just didn't have the courage or want to take the chance of just letting this movie be its own thing. And that was the most disappointing part, because I had a lot of fun with it, and every time it strayed from what I expected, I got interested. And every time it went right back to what I expected, I was just like, oh, I know where this is going. And the worst part is that it didn't even touch all the bases. A lot of the time it cut corners. There were a lot of scenes that were just like, hey, we're going to do this thing, and I'm sure you remember it from the first movie, so we're not actually going to finish it. We're just going to allude to it, and, you'll fill in the blanks. And as I was walking out the theater and thinking about the movie over and over and over again, as I am wont to do, it occurred to me that I had almost the exact same reaction to Star Wars The Force Awakens. I loved everything new the movie did. I thought the new characters were the best parts of it. And all the parts of the movie that were forcibly homaging A New Hope were the ones where I was just like, I don't want to see this. I'm bored. Take me back to this new world. I don't want to see what I've already seen. It got me thinking about something. I don't think I invented it. I can't remember where I first heard it, but I really do think I heard it somewhere else. Remake paralysis. Remake paralysis is when they're either remaking, adapting, or homaging a work, and they are so focused on the source material that they completely abandon any chance to make it new. The design team of Ghostbusters was smart enough to know that they had a chance to try some new things. I wish the scriptwriters and the producers had the same courage. This is a complaint I've heard leveled against the new Star Wars movie. It's a complaint I've heard leveled against Watchmen. And it's a complaint I've heard leveled against the new Batman movie, The Killing Joke, which is an adaptation of the comic of the same name. Everyone is saying, yeah, it was good source material, but the movie was never going to be better than the source material, so why did they just photocopy it? Were they afraid to take a chance? Now, maybe there are some people out there who would say, hey, better to have a perfect adaptation than take a chance on making something crap. I disagree with that. There's no way you're going to be able to recreate the magic of what came first, so you might as well try to do something new. You can't do it as well as it was done the first time around. It's not possible. So do what the first movie couldn't do. Have a Ghostbusters action sequence. Have a whole bunch of new characters. Introduce a stormtrooper who's going to be a main character instead of just cannon fodder. I remember when Watchmen came out, and a lot of people were disappointed that they photocopied it. Everyone was saying, well, they're following on the success of Sin City and 300, both of which were incredibly faithful adaptations. Yes, Sin City and 300 were both incredibly faithful adaptations, but they tried new things. They tried a ton of new things. And the difference between Watchmen and Sin City was that Sin City innovated and was the best possible amalgamation of a film and the source material, whereas Watchmen was just a reenactment of the source material. And it's not a bad adaptation. It's just a little stiff, and the same is true of 300. It's a great adaptation. It breathes new life. It does what the comic couldn't without straying from what the comic represented. Two franchises that are not making this mistake, oddly enough, for all the criticism it gets: the new DC movies, Batman v Superman, and Star Trek. Say what you want about these Star Trek movies. They are at least trying something new. They are trying to be their own part of the franchise. Again, they're not completely straying from the source material, but they're exploring it in their own way. And the worst of these three movies was Star Trek Into Darkness, which was trying to recreate Wrath of Khan, and it failed miserably. And the Batman v Superman movies, yes, they're bad. I've seen clips, I've read reviews. I believe the majority of people who say that they are just bad adaptations. But here's one thing: they're consistently bad. They betray their source material with regularity. The new Suicide Squad movie has something that has pissed a lot of people off, and when I heard about it, I thought, yeah, that's a betrayal of the source material. But you know what? It is perfectly in line with every other betrayal. This franchise, whether it bombs to high heaven, whether it is remembered with nothing but vitriol and regret, is doing its own thing. It is not just a rehash. And at the end of the day, I think that that's better. I think it's better to be your own part of a story, your own chapter, your own adaptation, than to try desperately to recreate what came before, because you never will. There are a lot of reasons to hate remakes and reboots and endless sequels. Star Trek the Motion Picture is a bad Star Trek movie. But it does things that no other Star Trek movie did. It made space fucking scary. Star Trek 4 does that a little bit. Star Trek Beyond does it more than a little bit. But the motion picture, when I want to feel really uncomfortable, I pop in that movie and I watch some of my favorite scenes. So I don't really know if there's a mission statement behind this video. I just wanted to share my view that, everything's a spectrum. Not all remakes are bad, and I think sometimes the worst remakes are the ones that are afraid to do their own thing. Ghostbusters was a good movie. I think it could have been an even better movie if it had allowed itself to be a reboot and not a remake. Take that for what you will.